Hello, hello. We're going to do another thing that we've never done before, something that I never really even thought to do at all, which is to take a little virtual tour. I heard about this recently. I think it's been around for quite a while, but they've been promoting it because of COVID stuff. Of course, they have to actually close the Louvre itself. So now you can go on a virtual tour to kind of get what you can from the experience. So I opened this briefly just to see that it was what I thought it was, and it is. And like any other web application I've seen that features this it's extremely laggy. And even though the ability to take this like 360-degree picture is like super cool and quite technologically futuristic when you think about it, the whole sensation reminds me of playing like point and click adventures in like the mid 90s. Like the lag and like just the UI of it and everything. But we're going to make the best of it and see what this is like and look at some artwork. We're checking out the Petite Gallery, which looks like it's a rotating gallery, like it's not a permanent fixtures within it, but different exhibits and exhibitions will come and go. This one is called The Advent of the Artist, discovering artworks from Delacroix. I don't actually know how to pronounce that. Rembrandt and Tintoretto. I expect a lot of like really mangled pronunciation in this video. Here we're in one of the Louvre main lobby areas. I went to the Louvre just once when I was 11, so I don't remember it too well, but aspects of it made a huge impression on me. We saw like the famous things. I saw the Mona Lisa when I was still small and wily, so I was able to sneak to the front and actually kind of get a look at it, which was cool. But the cliche thing about the Mona Lisa was like it's so small. It is quite small. There's other pieces that really blew me away, much more than the Mona Lisa did. Okay, I think anytime we see this, we can click ahead into the next 360-degree picture. Not only is this lagging, I think it's lagging my entire computer. Like, I think the video is choppier than it should be. When I'm connecting over at Valve or Idle, it's choppier than it normally is. So this thing is really, they did their best. Like, I don't mean to like mock the tech people that the Louvre hired, HD Media, in making this. You know, not everyone is Google, but it's quite sad how bad this is. Okay, so now we're approaching some actual works of art. I assume if I click these things, we'll learn more. Okay, or it will just pop up a second later. I'll also get to display my terrible French. Being elite, growing up in Canada, I took quite a bit of French. I learned French until high school, and then I forgot all of it. So let's see if we can figure this out. Venus, Venus Romaine de l'amour. It's like the Roman goddess of love. Accopie protege son corps d'unes regards. To sono son. I don't know what this accopie word is. It's like this the protege son. Uh, the slowness of that magnifying glass living is quite sad. Uh, hmm. So I think it's saying like, let's just get a better look at it. Okay. I don't actually know what I expected to say. I don't really know what the plan was for making this video. I thought I would just talk about the works of art, but like, what can you really say about this? If you've never tried sculpting before, but I've watched a couple like videos on sculpting in marble. Being able to do detail work like this is actually like unreal. Like The flow of the hair, like these whirls of hair is I don't know. I genuinely don't understand how it's possible. Here's what I'm thinking. Okay, imagine you're doing this sculpture. So basically what it involves is first you break away like big chunks of form, then you start sanding down like detail work. Look at these like little leaves, these little decorations. Do you think that was the sculptor like, I'm bored. I'm bored of sculpting Venus. I'm gonna go work on the leaves. Otherwise, is it like Venus was done and the sculptor was like, it just doesn't seem like it's enough. I'm gonna sculpt these leaves too. It seems crazy, but that's what they were doing out there. We can get closer to this figure of the artist. Oh man, this is brutal. And I have like a good computer. Like I have like a gamer's computer. So I don't know how normies are expected to use this. Again, I'm not trying to belittle their efforts. It's just unfortunate that here we have something that looks ancient Egyptian. What is the theme of this room? The Greeks and Romans had one word for both artists and craftsmen, techniques and artifacts. Prior to the Renaissance, craftsmen were not thought to be autonomous creators. Yet right from antiquity, some professionals rose to that anonymity, indicated by items bearing their names and certain traces of biological. These signatures and allusions, while usually hard to interpret, might point to a famous workshop or an outstanding product. The emergence of history of art in an art market, some craftsmen use their signatures to enhance the value of their creative work. That's very fascinating. To think of a time of art before artists, where I guess that's what's going on in this exhibit, the coming of the artist. Holy crap, the video is lagging like crazy. I hope at least the sound isn't lagging in the recording and I'm like stuttering. That would be super annoying. How much like processing power is Google Chrome taking? It's not. Oh my god! Holy shit! Whoa! Would it help if I don't really have anything else open. That's it. I guess I can close Seinfeld. I can't close OBS. I guess I can close this is my own artwork. I have to sign it. It won't be valuable if I don't sign it. You're lagging a lot. Can I write my own name when it's lagging so much? Oh, this is so terrible. Okay. Nice. Gotta save this somewhere. A hard drive is spinning up. Why is a hard drive spinning up? Oh god. Oh god. Miku. Oh, I already have something named Miku. Something Miku. Alright. Ooh, okay. It's like calming down, but as soon as I start trying to look around. Oh, maybe I need to use. Hold on. There's like a. There's a way I can use my GPU, I think. Where would that be? Advanced system? Use hardware acceleration where available. Okay, we'll try relaunching it. Am I relaunching it? Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Okay. We've powered up. Gotta get my Slayer task going again. All right. Will this be better? Holy crap, it really is. Yo! Okay, we had a rough start, but the hardware acceleration, that was the key. I don't know how normies are expected to do this though, because again, I have like a pretty crazy graphics card. I have a pretty strong CPU in general. Okay, but whatever. We're in the Louvre now. We're truly in the Louvre now. So these I would say are like early pieces of artwork. Actually, it's hard to tell because like this can't be that old. This sort of like cast bronze. I don't think. they were making like intricate works with that for a while. I'm very curious about this. Um, is this suggesting that this is like an artistic work from ancient Egypt with a hieroglyphic signature on it? And this fragment of pottery as well. Does it contain a signature? I don't know. But really think about that. The idea of art existing before artist. That for a long time, all art was anonymous. It was just something done as a craft, as like a trade, not as like an autonomous creative thing, but just something you did in a tradition. I am going to make a painting. I am going to make a pot. I am going to make whatever. This is pretty amazing. This is a Michelangelo? Is that what it said? No. Who is this? This is Anne Vallier-Coster. Why is it drifting like this? I want to look at it some more. The table presented by Anne Vallier for this, come on, I'm still trying to read. She opened, she's like doing her own art of her own autonomy, even though even though women artists at the time, she was like in this school or something. Cool. This technique here, for some reason I said Michelangelo. I was actually thinking Leonardo, but Leonardo, I think I would recognize if it was him. I don't know why I said Michelangelo. I meant Leonardo. But Michelangelo, I mean, Leonardo was all about, I think it's called like smufu. What am I doing? Da Vinci smuf. It means like smoke. Yes. Oh my god. No. This. I got close. What did I call it? Sumufu? But yeah, you're basically like finding soft edges where like even though this piece of sheet music or whatever it is, no, that's not sheet music, is like, you know, a distinct object from the background. There's this kind of magical blending. Maybe this isn't like a great example of it, but I don't know. It's very cool. This is a pretty famous kind of style of painting. Painting of galleries, just if you want to show off. There's some really famous ones. This one is fantastic, isn't it? Just look at that. That's unreal. And what's cool too is that maybe they'll talk about this, but I could see this being, yeah, this is a gallery within the Louvre. So not only are we seeing a painting of the building that we're in, which is awesome, we're seeing like a glimpse through time. But this was painted in what is it, 1861. So this is like what the building that you're in looked like in 1861. This is what the people dressed like. This is how the galleries were displayed. There's someone painting here right now. I don't think they would ever do that in the Louvre these days. Nowadays, it's usually pretty packed. Very, very popular gallery. Here we can see some info on the actual painting process itself, I guess. But that's too blurry to read. This is a chair for the security guard. Okay, let's plunge onward. Autoportraits or self-portraits. Again, thinking about this idea of the advent of the artist. Here's a Rembrandt. Such sadness in his paintings. But I like this. Everything is kind of shrouded in darkness. Even the palette and the canvas are kind of lost in this haze. But the artist's face alone, and maybe this is why it's included here, is kind of attested. He's like kind of making this statement. I have the creativity to like rise above this. Like I transcend the darkness of physicality. I have this like vision. Like the absolute like brightest part is like right around his eye here. Stop scrolling, please. Oh boy, that's a lot of French. This was painted when the artist was 54, and it was part of a. How do I? Oh gosh. Arrêter, arrêter. Okay, we arrêted. We stopped the motion. Uh, okay, all right, good, good. Oh man, I'm not even gonna try. So we have a Rembrandt. Here is Elizabeth Louise Vigée-Lebrun. It's her and a girl of age 6. I don't know. That's lovely, isn't it? The eyes seem fermé les yeux. Can I zoom? No, I wakata. The eyes seem a little exaggerated. Don't you think that they're a little bit larger than normal? Um, this is something actually very common in art, and the book, The Origin of Consciousness and the Breakdown of the Bicameral Mind, which I'm a huge fan of, and will leap at the opportunity to reference whenever I get the chance, actually gets into this quite a bit. That like sculptures and drawings of people and paintings consistently make the eyes a little bit larger than they actually would be in real life. Um, and to explain like his theory of why, then we would be here for like hours and not get onto the paintings. But it's fascinating, and it's something that I've like that book really has made me appreciate art, I think, in quite a lot of ways that I wouldn't otherwise. Here's a self-portrait of Delacroix. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I think I can still read French. And you know, like a lot of these words, obviously I know what they are. Green, white shirt, and something is else. These clothes are on his social status. His face is, I don't know what this means. Macho English indicates a character affirmed by the pose, something else, and the something else. Uh, Stirring, isn't it? Again, there's like this tempest around everything, and then a clarity of the face. You know, the background is like extremely ill-defined. It's not in like a physical place at all. But as soon as you start drawing the lines of the face, suddenly there's this like kind of reality. There's an emergence of objectivity. And I don't know, it feels like they're kind of like, I am here. I am the artist. I am here. We have some more self-portraits, another Rembrandt. So this is from 1660. When was the previous one? This is something else I'd like to do a lot that I think can unlock a lot of meaning in art. Is you simply I got confused. We sequence broke. You simply look at which one was made first. You look at a bunch of different art pieces by the same artist, and you find out what order they were made in. And I think that's like a really good avenue to kind of learn, you know, what things they were working on, what they were like striving for, what changes in their life may have occurred, what kind of mental state they were in. Of course, learning the context of their life can be really helpful as well in that regard. Learning their actual biography and thinking about, okay, like this was their lifestyle at the time. What were they trying to convey? Where was the other Rembrandt? Or did I like get confused? And we like looked at this Rembrandt twice. I think we might have just looked at this Rembrandt twice. Yeah, it looks like these are all by different artists. This is Nicolas Poisson, meaning fish. No, not quite. Ooh, I like the paintings behind him, very much establishing himself as an artist. It's interesting that this painting seems to be in a much earlier mode. The facial features are kind of more simplified. The like straight side portrait, you know, is a lot more unnuanced than something like this where he's kind of half looking away. And there's like shading and shadows cast by other parts of his face. It's interesting. Why would he paint something like simpler in the background? I guess to show like how far I've come, maybe? This is Albrecht Dürer. Wow. Stirring. It's interesting, a lot of these old paintings, you know, the wood canvas begins to crack, and thus the painting has these cracks in it as well, these imperfections. And I think it's just because I've come to associate seeing that with seeing this old sort of artwork, but it really lends a certain gravity to it, doesn't it? It has this like kind of additional texture of weariness that I feel somehow bleeds into how I'm reading his facial expression. But putting aside that, if we think about the other backgrounds we've seen, the fact that this one is just pitch black, it's kind of unnerving, isn't it? He casts a very striking figure against this pitch blackness. The choice of angles such that his hair is like almost like minimized. And what the heck is he wearing? When is this from? 1471. Oh my god. I looked at this and I was like, does that say 1893? What is he wearing in 1893? But in the 1400s, who knows what the heck people are doing? He's holding some sort of plant. Again, if my French was better, we could maybe figure out. Chose a common motive. No, it shows a unique motive and a simple figure. Tableau of history. It represents something. The Passion of the Christ. I was thinking he does kind of cast like a Christ-like image. Something about the hair and the structure of the face reminds me of depictions of Christ. So here, of course, he's holding thorns, which further suggests, you know, the crown of thorns put on Jesus during the crucifixion. And the way his like hat is slipping to reveal the brow. It's just like, you know, all of these things, the hair and the hat, are set up to just kind of minimize their effect such that just this brow seems kind of vulnerable, you know? And again, this goes here, and it's bad. Ooh, this looks quite contemporary. Unfortunately, we don't get to find out anything more about it, but whatever. His head is on a plate. You can read the English text here. Steeped in the culture of humanism, pursued the same by developing the genre of self-portraiture. Artists like Princess Helsforth maintained a portrait, and thus their self-pretensions included reflections on the creative act. Painting and the visual arts thereby rivaled literature. Writers meanwhile sought to translate artworks into words through evocative, descriptive literary passages. Okay. Which direction are we going? This way, I think. Gotta go back out into the hall. This way. This is Faces of Artists. No, Lives of Artists! In the 4th and 5th century BC, Greek painters Zeuxis and Apelles and sculptors blah 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 gained recognition in higher status in Greek society. The period that marked the beginning of art history, artworks were often attributed to the best known artists, as later recounted by Roman author Pliny the Elder in Natural History. Okay. So this is maybe showing some like lineage of artists. The reflection of the sculpture is kind of unfortunate, but I suppose there's not much to do about that. Here we see pretty amazing sculpture. Again, the subtleties of like partially covering flesh, having like kind of translucency in marble, like what? Like how can you begin to imagine even drawing something like this in just a two-dimensional setting? I mean, I just drew Miku. You can tell I'm a pretty accomplished artist, and yet I wouldn't know where to begin trying to bring out these subtleties, the small curves, the translucency. And they're making it in 3 dimensions. Seeing this without the background and stuff is almost a little disturbing. You can tell though, the eyes are a little bigger. No? I think you can tell. It's very, very subtle, but I think the eyes are a little bigger. Can't really tell what's going on over here. I'm very intrigued by like this and like the tiny fractured bit of pottery we saw way back here. Like what's going on? Like what does it contain, like a signature or something, I guess? Here we are in La Académie, obviously meaning the Academy. French Royal Academy of Painting and Sculptures was founded by Blur in the patronage of King Louis XIV. Blur. It was housed in the Louvre. I just, the gravity of this building, that it's just been around for hundreds of years and has been as it has for hundreds of years. A palace of the arts, a place where the most talented artists known to that era exhibited their works. So now we've jumped quite a bit ahead in time. Got this guy. Everybody had these crazy wigs back then. They pulled them off though. I think people look good with that kind of hair. This is an amazing picture. The amount of detail is unreal. Unreal. Even these like scraps of paper just have intricate drawings on them. Again, like just think about this. Think about painting this, right? Again, I'm just trying to think of the order you would do things. You paint maybe the general outline of the person, and you're painting the background and stuff, and then what? Do you get bored? And you're like, I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna work on the painting in the background of the painting. Like, I don't know, it just seems so overwhelming. It just seems like only a crazy person could aspire to doing something like that. It's one thing to just be like, I'm going to paint a portrait of myself, you know? But to what, this too? By the way, this painting is huge. It's kind of tough to get the scale since we're just virtual touring. But think about like this is at like reading level, right? You're supposed to walk up to this and read it. So this is maybe like 3 or 4 feet off the ground, probably, right? And then this thing, therefore, is like taller than me, probably. Not just taller than me, like up here is taller than me, but if I stood here, I think I would only come up to like here, maybe. Isn't that crazy? Can you imagine working on a canvas that huge? Just having this huge object in your studio at all times. Every day you wake up and just see it. And you're like, why did I start doing this part? Why did I paint a sculpture? Do you think they probably sculpted this sculpture as well? Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Okay, where shall we go next? The Great Gallery Dilemma. What's my route? This guy has kind of a goofy expression. It's not so bad now that I've zoomed in. Before I zoomed in, I don't know, he looked so bemused. This is pretty cool. So it seems like the theme of this area is like artists displaying artwork, artists in the process of creating artwork, themselves being painted. Pretty cool. The fact that this is painting, it's a painting made to look like a pencil sketch, is kind of mind-blowing, right? To be able to get the kind of discoloration of the paper, the slight defects and folds within the paper, like this crease, that's crazy. The crease going through this paper being painted on, the distortions that would make being painted on. Like, they're not working from photographs or anything either. They would actually have to draw this on paper with pencil and then somehow stage it such that they can use it as a reference. That's crazy. All right, let's not even bother trying to read French. Okay, I'm not sure what the theme of this room is after all, because this doesn't have any stuff going on. I love any painting of fruit, you know, still lifes and stuff like that. I'm into. I think anything that kind of brings out not just like the real depiction of the fruit, but like kind of transcending photorealism and bringing out the desirable qualities of that fruit, like an idealization of what makes the fruit look appetizing. That's where you're starting to really pique my interest. And here, I think these grapes or muscats or whatever they are, the kind of pearliness of them, the slight translucency, spilling out of here like boba, looking like they would just be irresistibly sweet and juicy. I'm all about it. Also, the skin coloring here. I don't think this is a Reuben. Is it? Who's this by? No. But it reminds me of Reuben. He has this almost like marbled flesh tone, which I think is brought out really nicely here, where like the very subtle coloring of like the cheeks and the ears and like points of around the nipple and around the hands and stuff lend like an overall feeling of like gradient that for some reason just really reminds me of like marble. Like it seems like it's half sculpted, half painted. Just the 3D-ness of it or the depth of it. I remember, oh, I can't really tell that story. Never mind. Oh, I'm just in a really weird mood right now. This is a fun video to make though. I'm all about it. What do we got here? It says Marie Guillaume Benoit. Portrait of a black woman. Don't know what those means. Something of, something under work or something. Again, like the skin tone is just phenomenal. And comparing this to like the pale flesh, the darker flesh. I sound so gross right now. It feels like I'm talking about chicken or something. But just like the slight variance in coloration, both from lighting sources. Like here you can see the light source is kind of lighting these parts of her face and casting these in shadow. Here as well. But then also just the natural color variation in skin. Like you can see going down this arm. It's like darker here and it lightens here. That doesn't really fit with the lighting scheme where you can see the shoulder is lit up. This stuff isn't so much. But this coloration is more just natural flesh gradients. Ugh, flesh gradients. Okay, let's move on from this subject. Really cool piece of work. I wonder what it would be like to model for a portrait. Seems tedious. This is another pretty huge painting. Another painting within a gallery, possibly again set within the Louvre. Yeah. King Charles X. What's the English word for this? Commissioned, I'm thinking? No, I don't know. But there's a lot going on here. Again, like the what's it called? Smatto? The way these paintings kind of fade into the darkness. And it both represents kind of like a lighting scheme, you know, that like our eyes are kind of drawn in different directions because of the way that the thing is lit. And it kind of then represents like as if you were someone in this crowd. It's like, oh, you can be this guy. Look at this guy. He's like, is that really the king? Is that what he looks like? Like, yes, shut up. Really? Really? Is that the king? Yes, shut up. And you're just like gawking around like, look at all these paintings. Look at all these paintings. The Louvre really does have, I think, more than any other gallery in the world, hands down, like an overabundance of masterpieces. such that you do get rooms like this. I think nowadays the Louvre isn't quite so haphazardly displayed. Things are a little more spaced out. Everything has its little placard explaining what it is. But there are a few rooms that kind of feel like this, where the walls are just tiled as densely as possible with as many paintings as they could cram in there. And it's just overwhelming. And these are like actual paintings in the Louvre that this artist has recreated. This one especially I can remember. I think that's Napoleon upon his horse. This is Francois Joseph Haim, apparently. We'll go back this way now. A much smaller painting, but again, within the Louvre, the detail is just absurd. Look at the madness of this crowd. There are some highly memeable faces among this work from, when did it is? The 1847. There's still like a conveyance of like comedy and drama that is truly timeless. Like, what is going on? Actually, what is going on here? Let's see if we can puzzle it out. Evokes a satirical mode in the salon, the exposition of artists, the premier stage on the all right. Well, something's going on. Something's going on in the Louvre. I like how this also has like a wacky pose. It almost feels like the energy of the crowd is like infecting the paintings. Over here, it's more kind of understated. All right, where shall we go now? Further down this hall, I suppose. Not sure how long we're going to look around. Like, I don't know how many more rooms there are. We came from there. What the... Okay, I guess that's just how technology works. Okay, we keep going this way. Or I guess this is the end. I mean, it is called the Petite Gallery. Okay, well that's decent timing. We have a good length of video now. I want to read what this says. It's really in an awkward spot. There's no way we can read that blurry line of text. This is very fascinating too. I assume this is another gallery within the Louvre that they've done this tiny postcard picture of. Just really showing off at this point. How much detail can I fit into such a tiny frame? I think that's it. It looks like this is the end of the line. Nice. La Petite Gallery. I'm really glad we figured out to turn on hardware acceleration. I think there was a reason I had turned it off. There was like some other website that stopped working if I turned it on. But well, if I encounter that, I can just turn it off again. Easy peasy. We'll head out of the Petite Gallery. Au revoir. Au revoir. Sayonara. And maybe we can explore some of these other halls. There's the Egyptian antiquities. You can go around the Louvre moat, which is kind of interesting. And the Galerie d'Apollyon. So maybe we'll do those at some point too. Sounds nice, right? And I think there's some other museums that have these virtual tours as well. I think the British Museum does, which is another really fantastic museum. Perhaps a little problematic, but it's mind-blowing the amount of stuff they stole and put in there. Okay, that's all for now. Bye-bye.